The most famous museum in the world, the Louvre in Paris, has been robbed. On the morning of October 19th of 2025, the world-renowned Louvre Museum in Paris, which is home to a lot of unbelievable priceless art and jewelry and all kinds of things like that, like the Mona Lisa, the Venus de Milo, became the scene for one of the most daring and ballsy robberies of pretty much all time. At approximately 9:33 a.m. on the morning of October 19th of 2025, just 33 minutes after the museum opened its doors to visitors, a gang of 4 masked men executed a meticulously planned raid on the Galerie des Apollons, which is an opulent 17th century hall adorned with gilded ceilings and frescoes depicting the sun god Apollo. This was like Ocean's 11 level burglary. This is like a Guy Ritchie film on how to steal from the Louvre, basically. Apparently this robbery, which was one of the most calculated things of all time, lasted no more than 4 to 7 minutes. And in that period of time, the robbers made off with 8 exquisite pieces of 19th century French crown jewels, including items of incalculable and immeasurable heritage value, of the once graced the necks of crowns and fingers of emperors and empresses during France's imperial golden age. Now, this brazen operation was carried out without a single shot fired or a single visitor being harmed. And the ripple effect that this is going to have throughout the rest of the world, especially as far as like art collections, is going to be monumental. I mean, this is really pointed out some of the levels of fragility of global cultural security. Like, I don't think that anyone understands like just how secure the Louvre is. Like, this place is supposed to be the most locked down museum of like the whole planet practically, because they have literal priceless things in there. Like I said, immeasurable value, like the Mona Lisa, like all of these different like crown jewels that at one point the emperors and empresses or kings and queens of France used to wear. It's crazy. Anyway, the stolen jewels aren't just like, you know, a random crown or rings or earrings. They're literally shards of France's past, like, which has been extremely turbulent, because obviously, you know how France does. They like to, every once in a while, they like to overthrow their kingdom and then put somebody new in. Anyway, housed inside of the Galerie des Apollons since the 19th century, these pieces that were stolen included adornments worn by Napoleon Bonaparte, his nephew Napoleon III, and their empress Marie-Louise, which is Napoleon's second wife, as well as Eugenie, which was Napoleon III's consort. A lot of these things were crafted during an era of opulent excess. Like, the jewels featured thousands of diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, and other gemstones set in an intricate gold filigree that evoked the grandeur of Versailles. Among the collection's highlights is the Regent Diamond, which is a 140-carat marvel once owned by Louis XV, valued at over $60 million. Now, surprisingly, they didn't take that 140-carat diamond. They didn't try to take that. They left that one behind. I don't know if they left it behind because they didn't have time to get it, or if they just decided to go for other things instead, or maybe they felt like the other things that they stole were more valuable, or maybe they deemed that it was too risky, and so they left it behind because they're like, well, they're going to find us if we take this one. So either way, this was obviously a targeted thing because it got executed in less than 7 minutes. Now, the Louvre itself has been a fortress of culture, but its defenses have shown cracks, obviously, and these guys found out what they were, and they exploited it. It's the most visited museum on Earth. Apparently, it draws over 10 million visitors annually, and they've been struggling with overcrowding, understaffing, and outdated security protocols for a long time. And I guarantee that these people that conducted this heist have been going there on a regular basis, probably to just scout the place out. They've probably been going there on a regular basis for years, just waiting to see how like security erodes, trying to find cracks in their, patrolling patterns, protective measures. And they've definitely studied this because of the way that they executed this thing. We'll get into it. Anyway, in January of 2025, President Emmanuel Macron unveiled the, quote, Louvre New Renaissance project, which is a $200 million renovation project aimed at expanding facilities and bolstering security amid the surging attendance post-COVID, because obviously when COVID happened, they locked everything down and there wasn't anybody going. Now, implementation of this is kind of like lagged significantly because labor unions like the SUD warned of fragile protections, citing staff cuts and untenable conditions that left too few eyes on entrances, exits, and galleries. Now, back in June of 2025 of this year, employees actually staged a strike over those very issues because people were frustrated the fact that there's like way too few people to protect way too much stuff, and it was becoming untenable. Some of the broader trends in France's cultural sector exacerbated the risks, with museums like the Adrien Dubochet and Cognac suffering similar breaches, signaling a wave of opportunistic thefts in the 2020s. Apparently, there's been people trying to warn them that there were vulnerabilities for years, including the former Louvre director, Pierre Rosenberg, who decried the museum's vulnerabilities for a long time, requesting for a security audit from Paris police, which yielded only preliminary recommendations by the time the heist actually happened. Anyway, let's get into what actually took place and how they did this, because this is freaking insane. Like, totally insane. So surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts have painted a pretty vivid, clear picture about what happened here. And it was literally, like I said, a Guy Ritchie film because of the precision of this execution was unprecedented. For example, it was described by French culture minister Rachida Dati as unfolding calmly and professionally, like a scene from a Hollywood script. Now, the thieves, which are believed to consist of 4 members, 2 climbers, and 2 drivers, arrived via the museum's southeast facade along the River Seine, which is a super busy, bustling public thoroughfare that's lined with tourists and vendors all over the place. So I don't know how I guess they just plan to be comfortable in a very busy public area. They were disguised in high visibility yellow and orange vests to mimic urban construction workers, with their faces obscured by balaclavas. They parked a stolen Monte Mobile, which is a compact vehicle mounted electric cherry picker, commonly used for furniture hoisting in Paris's narrow streets, and they parked it directly against the building. A vehicle mounted cherry picker up against the building. Now, this unassuming tool with its extendable ladder and basket platform allowed 2 thieves to scale effortlessly to a second-floor balcony mere feet from the Apollo Gallery's jewel room. Less than 300 yards of tons of people that were staring at the Mona Lisa in the adjacent Denon wing. At 9:33 a.m., the museum was bustling with early arrivals, and the intruders activated battery-powered disc cutters, which are compact cordless angle grinders that were like, making a buzzing noise almost like a bunch of hornets. And they sliced through the gallery's unsecured glass panes with them. Now, the screech of metal on glass triggered localized alarms, but a recent malfunction in the room's system delayed a full lockdown. Now, shards from this glass cascaded to the marble floors as the thieves busted in. Their tools now brandished like improvised weapons to intimidate the 2 on-duty guards, who wisely evacuated visitors without resistance. Go figure. Now, while they maintained composure, they viciously and efficiently targeted 2 locked glass display cases, smashing them with brute force and scooping up all of the priceless jewelry and artifacts that was inside of them. There were no shots fired, no hostages taken. The robbers just moved quietly, professionally, with massive amounts of poise. And the way that they were moving around obviously looked like they had conducted significant levels of reconnaissance and site surveys on this specific area before ever even executing this. Now, after they broke these cases and stole everything that they could, they descended very fast. They got out of there very quickly. The thieves rappelled back down to the ladder onto the waiting basket, where when they landed in the basket and they were kind of in a hurry to get out of there, they accidentally dropped 2 items, which were later recovered damaged from the cobblestones below. Now, as they were trying to make their escape, they spotted a museum staffer approaching, so they ended up soaking the lift basket in gasoline and tried to ignite it with a blowtorch torch, but somehow the quick thinking employee prevented that from happening. Regardless, the gang split up into 2 high-performance Yamaha T-Max scooters, each with 560cc engines, and they split off, weaving through Paris traffic before the A6 auto route, which is a major highway that snakes south from the city. The entire breach, from their ascent into the building to their escape, clocked in at under 7 minutes in its entirety. And when they left the cherry picker, they left all of the fragments of glass, they left all their discarded tools, including grinders, a walkie-talkie, gloves, and a blanket. And then obviously like all of the gas that they tried to pour on the cherry picker. 7 minutes. Obviously, these guys had been planning this probably for years, I would bet. I would bet it was planned for years. But I wonder what these guys looked like. They have so much heat on them right now from Interpol at this point. And anybody that gets those jewels, they're going to have to hide them. Even if it's like somebody, like who has the money to buy that, first off. Second off, if they do have the money to buy it, they're not going to be able to publicly display it because everybody will know that that was stolen from the Louvre in Paris. So it's going to have to be some sort of a warlord that doesn't like allow people or press in there, you know? I don't know who would buy something like that. I mean, what are you going to do? Unless you're going to like put it in something else. I don't know, you know? Weird. Now, some of the security lapses that people have seen were pretty astounding. So one specifically, 1 in 3 rooms in the affected wing lacked CCTV coverage. Windows were inadequately barred, and the public road parking of the lift went unchallenged, meaning that there was nobody there to stop them from parking that cherry picker up against the building. Because if there had been people patrolling that side of the building on a regular basis, they would have been like, what the hell are you doing? And then they would have gotten rid of it, you know, or had it towed or had it pulled away or something. It's going to be interesting because they got that cherry picker from somewhere. Who rented it to them? Who let them use it? They're going to go find those people. They're going to visit them. And then they're going to be like, who did you give this cherry picker to? You know, there's going to be, dude, imagine the digging and the investigative work that's going to go into this, man. It's going to be massive. It's going to be crazy. Apparently, one of the tour guides even heard stomping on the windows moments before the thieves broke through. Anyway, let's talk about what they stole, because this is like absolutely nuts. And like I said, I don't know how they're going to get away with this, because like, who's going to buy this with the level of heat on this stuff in today's day and age? The only people that are going to buy this are going to be like organized crime networks, because you're not going to be able to publicly display this stuff ever, because everybody will know exactly what that is that you have. So apparently the thieves' haul comprised 8 19th century masterpieces from the French crown jewels, each a testament to the extravagance of Napoleonic courts. Apparently, they selected these things for the fact that they were easy to transport and also the fact that they were extremely valuable. And they were all plucked from velvet-lined cases under soft gallery spotlights. So the first item was the crown of Empress Eugenie, which is a towering diadem of gold and platinum encrusted with 1,354 diamonds, 56 cabochon emeralds, and was designed in 1853 by jeweler Malario Ditz Mueller for Napoleon III's wife. It was dropped during the escape but was recovered nearby even though it was damaged. Now, experts are fearing that this has caused irreparable harm to its intricate settings. So that was that crown was stolen, but they dropped it and didn't take it with them because they fumbled it when they were, hurriedly trying to leave or hastily trying to bounce. The next item that was stolen was the tiara and brooch of Empress Eugenie, which is a matching piece from the same set featuring cascading diamond ribbons and emerald accents evoking the Empress's poised elegance at state balls. That one they got away with. The next piece was the emerald necklace and pair of emerald earrings of Empress Marie-Louise, which is a vibrant green gem of a parure gifted by Napoleon I in 1810. Apparently, this thing symbolizes marital alliance. The necklace alone boasts over 200 carats of Colombian emeralds. Jesus. The next one was the sapphire tiara, necklace, and single earring from the set of Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense, which are deep blue sapphires framed in silver-topped gold, part of a Bourbon Orleans heirloom passed down through Queens, with the tiara's floral motifs mimicking Versailles Gardens. And then the last one was the reliquary brooch, which is a lesser known but poignant piece, possibly incorporating a religious relic and diamond encased filigree, tying imperial pomp to spiritual devotion. Two additional dropped items were an undisclosed jeweled item and Eugenie's crown were both retrieved, but the remaining 6 vanished into the Parisian ether. Now, obviously, these things probably have a dollar value to them or like have some sort of like monetary value. But as far as like culturally speaking, these things are essentially immeasurable in value, especially to the French. Apparently, the jewels could fetch millions on the black market if dismantled because gems can be recut anonymously, gold melted, and settings can be scrapped for laundering. Yeah, there's even like art crime experts out there saying that their fame dooms them to obscurity because they're far too recognizable for legitimate sale. So the only way that they're gonna get sold is they have the gems recut and then they melt down all of the actual metal, like the gold or silver or any of that stuff, which is crazy to think about. These aren't things that would occur to me because I've never considered the idea of stealing priceless art. So I just like, you know what I mean? I don't ever think about how you would even sell something like this. It's just crazy. The whole thing is nuts, man. I haven't seen anything like this before. Nothing other than in like, you know, Hollywood films about heists, you know? Anyway, there were sirens blasting all over the place after this robbery took place with, you know, 35,000 meters of galleries emptying in an orderly panic. Guards were herding tourists past all sorts of like exits to get them the hell out of the Louvre because they were trying to lock down. And then they ended up locking down the entire Louvre. And then there was, you know, tons and tons of police and law enforcement patrolling the area. By evening after this had happened, the site looked like a crime scene fortress with the cherry picker right there, the window gashes taped with police sheeting, forensic teams in white suits sifting through debris under floodlights. And the museum extended its closure through October 20th, refunding all tickets via its website, saying, "We apologize for the inconvenience." Closed for exceptional reasons. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty exceptional. As of October 21st of 2025, it still remains closed, with reopening eyed for Wednesday at the earliest, meaning they're considering opening the museum back up on the 22nd of October, although it could be later. Now, eyewitness accounts captured this thing and were just like in disbelief when they saw this. Some American tourists who were queued for 40 minutes before learning of the shutdown compared it to a, quote, movie plot twist, while locals were basically comparing the fact that this robbery took place and have, you know, basically compared this to the fading of France's former glory. Now, social media has erupted with animated memes and cartoons of like, you know, viral clips showing depicting the heist as a 7-minute cartoon caper with thieves zipping away on scooters like, you know, Lupin the Third or something like that, you know? Because obviously it's not every day that this kind of a thing happens. It's crazy. It's insane. Now, Paris prosecutors under Laure Becau mobilized 60 investigators, poring over CCTV footage from the A6 escape route and tracing a discarded scooter license plate. And so far, what they know is the suspects are 4 men. They were hooded and vested, possibly commissioned by an organized crime syndicate, given the operation's sophistication, because they believe that no amateurs could have mustered this level of reconnaissance in order to conduct this strike. A French senator even said that the recovery odds are, quote, near zero, as the jewel's fate likely involves global black market disassembly. Yep, because you're not going to be able to sell that thing without disassembling it. So that part of your history is gone. It's gone forever. Now all that's left is just photos. You have to take a photo of it and just place it back where the old pieces used to be, since that's all you got left, you know? Anyway, President Macron decried this as a attack on our history, pledging justice and accelerated security upgrades, while the Interior Minister Laurent Nunez labeled it as a, quote, major robbery of inestimable loss. A lot of, you know, elected officials out there have basically been saying this is emblematic of national decline, and global media drew parallels to heists like the 1990 Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft, which is still unsolved, by the way, or the 2019 Dresden Green Vault raid. While this investigation is ongoing and they may be able to figure out who the people are, I don't think they're ever going to find those jewels. I think those things are gone for good. But that's one of the craziest things I think that has happened in a very long time, especially to public art. I don't think that anything on this level has happened in a very long time. So I hope they catch him though, but it's doubtful. All right, so that's it for the daily roll-up. I appreciate you guys watching the video. I'm gonna change this up a little bit going forward. Instead of doing like 1 to 6 stories, we're probably gonna have 1 or 2 stories going forward, because what that does is it helps YouTube have a better idea of like who would be interested in this type of a video or this subject or topic. So we're gonna probably start doing it like that going forward. So if you wanna continue to support the channel, please stick around until the very end like you've done right now as you're watching this. It does help boost the video and the algorithm. Another way you can support the channel is if you like this video, you leave a comment in the comment section below and you share the video with your friends. So thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what you thought about the video in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.